What's up, African Fight Fam? It's your boy JB back at it again with another episode of the African Fighters. Yes. I know last week I skipped an episode, which is because last week on Sunday, which happened to be today, just a week ago exactly, was my birthday. I went out with the fam, but I came back pretty late, so I couldn't hop on here. But I apologize about that. Shout out to our Patreon. Shout out to Christopher Graham. If you were part of our Patreon, we did mention in our Patreon that we would skip Sunday basically until this Sunday. But shout out to everybody. Um, Today, for the first time in forever, I'm going to be riding solo on this because I had Toby a couple of minutes ago. We tried to get this going, but Toby's connection was not working. So I just decided to do this solo. Hopefully, I don't get to bore you guys. But hey, you know the deal. Wherever you are, you could, if you want to be part of us here, and speaking to us here, basically, if you want to be part of us, you could, yeah, join our Patreon, and you could be part of the panel. If you'd want your questions answered, we could do the same. If you would want to be part of us and share your opinion, please do join our Patreon link in the bio. Yeah, shout out. I can see a comment in Obiad Norzay. Shout out to you. W. Shout out to you. All right, guys. Again, it's just me, so I'm just gonna get into it. This might be a very quick one because my opinions are just gonna be popping. Quick seconds. Yeah. Yo, shout out to Courageous Empire. Courageous Empire knows Toby and Bad Network is 5 and 6. And yeah, another comment, Christopher Graham. What is left for Max Holloway in the UFC, and should he stay at featherweight or try his hand at lightweight? Um, I believe Max has gone up in lightweight before. He tried to fight for the interim title against Dustin Poirier a couple of years ago. That was like a crazy fight, if I could remember. Very back and forth, entertaining fight. I believe that's when Poirier won the interim title and went to unify it with Khabib in Abu Dhabi, and he got choked out. So Max isn't like a guest in the featherweight, in the lightweight, sorry. Um, well, to be honest, Max has fought 3 times against the champion. And at this point, we all unanimously agree that the champion is better than Max. So, what should he do? Because we cannot get a fourth fight. We can only get a fourth fight when there's absolutely nobody left. We saw Volkanovski literally begging the next top contender in Topuria not to fight Max because Max is gonna beat him according to what Volkanovski thinks, and I think so as well, and I think many of you guys think the same. Um, I just feel like Max is gonna be. It's like the Usman and Covington situation. Covington could have been champion if Usman wasn't there. Max would be the champion. Well, he was a champion if Volkanovski wasn't there. So there isn't really anything left for Max to do. Uh, he's beating the up and comers. He's beating the legends. He has. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna share my screen so we go through uh the current featherweights in the UFC. We look at the top rankings and see who would Max Holloway. Uh, Sorry, I'm just typing. Who would Max Holloway look good against? All right, so featherweight champion is Sean O'Malley, right? I'm gonna share my screen now. Here we go. Yeah. So featherweight champion. Oh, that's bantamweight. Sorry, featherweight champion Alex Volkanovski. Uh, we got Yair Rodriguez, Brian Ortega, Arnold Allen. I must say, I think I saw this. Christopher Graham mentioned Arnold Allen being someone that could potentially fight Max Holloway. Um, well, the Englishman lost his last fight. That would be a good fight for him. Courageous Empire said, I think Max Holloway will get it done in the fourth fight. Well, I'm not sure if anyone would want to see Volkanovski versus Max Holloway for the fourth time. Um, it's just gonna be sad if Volkanovski beats Max Holloway again. It's not gonna be really pretty at all. I'm sure you guys would agree to that. But what would I want to see personally? I actually think the smart thing to do for Max is to jump a weight class, as suggested by uh Christopher Graham. Um, there are some good fights in there. There are some good fights in there. Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje. Guys, I'm sorry if I've been rambling. I probably need to get to bed, but yeah. So the lightweight. Yeah, Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier. The lightweight division is the most exciting division in the UFC. It's the most difficult division to crack into the top 15. Max getting in there is adding a bit of a spice in there. Yeah. All right. So I'm just gonna jump into our predetermined topics today. The first topic, which is on our banner, is Enyimba Football Club announced a multi-year shirt sponsorship deal with Stake. So the reason why football is dragged into here is because the announcement of this deal was done by Israel Adesanya on their platforms. Enyimba is the champions of Nigerian football. So now this got me thinking, is Easy trying to tap into football? Now, I know Easy doesn't own Stake. He is just an athlete that he is one of the top athletes that represents the brand. Um, yeah, so he is one of the athletes that represent the brand. So this is huge for Nigerian football because I think when it comes to partnership in the history of Nigerian Premier League, I don't think any club has gotten anything as huge as this because most of the partnership deals are done by local companies back in Nigeria. So is Israel Adesanya trying to tap in football? I guess time will tell. But the biggest investment one can make in sports in Nigeria, to be honest, is not MMA, it's actually football, even though our league is kind of shit. But yeah, you get the point. Um, yeah. So I'm just gonna jump into the next one, guys. This is going to be a bang 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 situation today. So we've got Manel Kape. Manel Kape had his fight fall out again. I believe Manel Kape right now in the UFC is 3-2. 1-3 loses 2. And he has 5 cancelled fights. Literally right now he's on his third cancelled fight against Kai Kara France, which was supposed to happen in Israel Adesanya's fight card in Australia next month. But now, luckily for Manel Kape, I would say is that the fight isn't totally cancelled because he gets a replacement fighter in the person of Felipe Dos Santos. That's 18-6. I think this would be a good showing for Manel Kape. He could go out there, dominant performance, and he could call his shot in there. He probably would be high on the fight card. He'll be on the main card. So this isn't totally a loss for him, but fighting Kai Kara France is the biggest eye opener he could get going to enemy territory. I'm not saying that Kai Kara France is an enemy, but basically going to your opponent's hometown, you get booed, he get cheered, and then you beat him. That wouldn't be a popular victory in the arena, but that would be a big shout out to get on the path to the title. Now, what's interesting is Manel Kape has already fought the champion Pantoja. I believe that's his first fight in the UFC, and he lost that fight mostly because of how slow he started that fight. Um, the third round in that fight, if you could remember, Manel Kape was put in on the champion at Pantoja. But I guess if they fight again, I think it is going to be really, 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 really close. I have Courageous Empire here. He's saying that I never really favored Kai Kara France in that fight. I would say my non-biased opinion. I also favor the Starboy Manel Kape in this one. I think he's got what to take. He got what it takes to get it done. He is no stranger to the big stages, because when he was fighting in Rising, they were selling out arena like stadium like arenas, being a champion there already. So he's done it all. He's seen it all. I don't think he's going to be phased uh by the hometown of Kaikara France. So Kaikara France is from New Zealand, but it's gonna be in Australia, but it's all in the down under, so it doesn't really matter. They all cheer for their guys. So yeah. Moving on. Efe Ajagba emerges victorious via DQ against Zhan. So this happened last night, I believe, in Top Rank. It was a weird fight. There was a lot of low blows. In boxing, actually, last night there was a lot of low blows. We could get into the main event of Dubois and Usyk, where it was a bit controversial with some below the belt punches, which appears to be legal in the eyes of many people. But Dubois has a claim for a rematch, to be honest with that. But anyways, I'm talking about Ife Ajagba. So the fight got stopped in the fourth round because Zhan repeatedly, deliberately targeted the nuts of Ife Ajagba. And well, a lot of people in the comment section were talking about how uh Ife Ajagba started punching Zhan in his nuts first in the first and second round. If you would watch the fight, I feel like it is very similar to the low blow, well, to the supposed low blow of Dubois and Usyk. It was just at the belt line. Um, Maybe it affected the cup of Zhan, maybe not, but Zhan was really, really pissed. If you saw the fight, he was really, really pissed, and he started retaliating with low blows of his own. He wasn't like trying to hit the belt line, he was like literally going for the nuts. So the ref just stopped the fight. It was more, if you could see the body language of Zhan when he landed the low blow, the final low blow that got a DQ against Ajagba. He landed it and walked to his corner because he wanted the fight to end. What I don't understand is why an undefeated fighter would go down that route. It was only the fourth round. There's plenty more rounds to go. If you feel like you could beat this guy, you could actually would have beaten this guy. I think it was just a matter of anger. But shout out to Ife Ajagba. He is now slowly crawling back into contention in the heavyweights. People would be taking him more serious. Now he's got a title. I believe he won the WBC, is it? Uh, yeah, it's not written on this article, but it looked like Ajagba won some title. With boxing, there's a lot of gimmicky titles, so forgive me. Forgive me. All right, so we're going to move back to the sphere of MMA. Senegalese fighter Sadibou Sy advanced to the finals by split decision win over Carlos Leal. There is a bit of a history here. It's the semi-final in the welterweights of the PFL. Sadibou Sy is the winner of the $1 million last year. He is gone in for another $1 million. What a smart guy, in my opinion. And this time, he met Carlos Leal in the semifinals again. Last year, they met in the semifinals, and Sai won via unanimous decision 30-27 across all boards, was it? It was like a one-sided decision. And now, this was even more a closer fight because it was a split decision victory. But here's the thing. Carlos Leal missed weight on the weigh-in. So, according to PFL rules, if there was a unanimous decision, if the fight gets to unanimous decision, it would be classified as a draw, and Sai will will qualify to the finals because according to PFL, if you miss weight, that is like you have already forfeited one part of the victory in a sense. It's a bit tricky, but that's how the rules are. So fighters should take weight cut very seriously. Regardless, Sai didn't need the the rule book to come in play. He won by split decision, so that's good. He is gonna go challenge the Russian former champion. I believe his name is Magomed Magomedkerimov. I hope I didn't botch that name. So for the welterweights, the first man to advance was former champion Magomed, who was able to edge replacement fighter Solomon Renfro in the judges' scorecards. The other welterweight fight also went in decision. This time, split decision went to 2022 champion Sadibou Sy, who defeated Carlos Leal and will advance. So there you have it. Sadibou is in the finals. And last but not least, okay, so this has been bubbling in MMA sphere. We haven't spoken about it. It is about the future of Kamaru Usman. Right. So Stephen Wonderboy Thompson was supposed to fight Michel Pereira. Michel Pereira missed weight. Stephen said, I'm not fighting anymore. And I want to get paid basically for my show money. Well, we know Stephen A. Wonderboy is on a huge contract as being a veteran and a very popular guy. I believe he should be getting maybe a quarter million or half a million at least to show. So there was a bit of a back and forth regarding what amount he would be paid for not accepting to fight an overweight fighter in Michel Pereira. But that's not the case. So last week, Ian Gary, who is the Irish kid, the nice Conor, and if there's a nice version of Conor McGregor, it's Ian Gary. After he beat, I believe, Neil Magny, he mentioned he wanted to fight Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. He has been calling out, not really calling out, but giving Stephen Wonderboy shout outs like earlier in his career. He mentioned that it's someone that he looked up to. Um, hmm. Wonderboy needs to be caught for turning down fights. Well, we'll get to that to courageous guy. So yeah, so Ian Gary, after beating Neil Magny, called out Wonderboy. Now Wonderboy thinks that him fighting an up and comer would make him be a gatekeeper. Basically, he wants to fight something that would push him in contention to the title. The last time we saw Wonderboy, I believe, was when he fought Bilal Muhammad and he lost. I can't remember if that's the last one. That's the last fight I could remember of him. But in an interview, I have some quotes here and I'm going to read it for you guys. Uh, yeah, here we go. Uh, this is Wonderboy speaking. I got a call from my management. We are sitting here trying to work with this Usman fight, trying to make it happen. I get a call from a UFC saying, "Hey, would you want to fight Ian at MSG Madison Square Garden?" Literally right after he called me out. I'm like, "Look, I'm not trying to be a gatekeeper. I said the same thing I'm saying to you. I want to fight. I want this fight with Kamaru Usman. We both want it. If it's against a guy who is coming up the rankings or the number one contender, that's who I'm going for. There's that's a no-brainer for me, especially at my age, not wanting to be a gatekeeper and wanting to go for the one last title run. Kamaru, it just makes sense. Well, uh if you're going again if you're going with that logic, basically Usman wouldn't want to fight Wonderboy because what would Wonderboy do for Usman, right? If Usman beats Wonderboy, then what? I believe the only shout that Usman can get back to the title beating Wonderboy is like if he like gets a knockout against like a high level kickboxer like Wonderboy. But I remember in a press conference, Usman did not rubbish this. It was a question was thrown to him to fight Wonderboy, and he kind of entertained it. I believe at this point it's kind of tricky who Usman should fight, but with the amount of options he's been chasing Chimaev fight. Obviously, Chimaev isn't a welterweight anymore at this point. The only fight that makes sense for Usman and getting back to the title is Bilal Muhammad, because Bilal Muhammad is clearly the next guy, right? Because he's beaten everybody. He's beaten the scary up and comers. He's beaten the legends. He's beaten the ranked opponents. So he is clear and cut the next guy. We know that the UFC welterweights have the habit of squatting in their sport. They don't like fighting each other because they are protecting their position in the rankings. But if we actually get to see Leon Edwards and Kobe Covington at least get some things moving in that division, and again, it is very difficult spot for Kamaru Usman. But if a Wonderboy Thompson fight is a fight that we could get for him, then yeah, go so be it. But I would actually prefer to see Usman fight Bilal Mohammed. I know it's not going to be a crowd favorite or fan favorite, but technically talking about someone getting back into the title picture, you've got to beat the guy that has beaten the guys, basically, if you get what I mean. So yeah, moving on to the next one. Which fight would you rather see? All right. Shout out to the guys on Patreon. Shout out to Christopher Graham. This part of his questions mostly from last week. So I didn't get a chance to get on here last week. So we're just gonna hear my opinions about this. Again, it's just me today. So yeah. All right. So which fight would you rather see? First fight is new champion Sean O'Malley versus Corey Sandhagen. New champion Sean O'Malley versus Merab. New champion Sean O'Malley versus Chito Vera Part 2. All right. I cannot sell O'Malley versus Sandhagen because Sandhagen cannot get a title fight at the moment. Maybe if he beats somebody. I can sell a fight for O'Malley versus Merab. So, Merab, best friends with Aljo, former champion, says that he would not fight Aljo for the title, even though Merab has beaten everybody. Merab has been the clear-cut number one contender like his last fight, like a couple of fights ago. But he didn't want to fight his friend. And now we remember the last time Aljo fought, and in the octagon, I believe Merab stole O'Malley's jacket or some shit like that. That was funny. So that's the storyline there. He's gonna show up with the red jacket, show up in the press conference with the red jacket against Sean O'Malley, maybe call him out wearing the red jacket. There's a lot of things that could be put across the red jacket, to be honest. Um, that's the storyline. In Sean O'Malley's defense, he could be like, okay, I beat everybody in your camp. Aljo, the highest ranking guy in, is that Sorry Lango? Is that the name of the camp? I forgot. But he's like the highest ranking guy in his gym. Merab is probably his assistant. So he'd be like, I beat Aljo, I beat Merab. Because Merab is on Aljo's corner and Aljo will be in Merab's corner. So like he's gonna be like, I beat you guys. But does O'Malley have that animosity towards Aljo? Build up to the fight, we didn't see that. O'Malley doesn't look like he has animosity towards them, but the person that O'Malley wants to fight is Chito Vera. Because if we remember, the only time O'Malley lost his 1L was against Chito Vera, and it was a very awkward loss because O'Malley, it was a freak accident that happened. Some leg kicks killed his ankle and he couldn't stand. And yeah, I believe when O'Malley lost that fight, he came out and started talking about, oh no, I never lost, I never lost. So yeah, sorry guys, I got distracted looking at the comments. Let's go to King Dems. King Dem says Max should move down to bantamweight like Jose Aljo did. That would be very interesting. This is a topic which we opened the podcast with, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, so that would be very interesting. But haven't you seen what Max looks like? Eh, King Demola. He is a skinny guy, not very muscular. He cannot cut any other weight. He can't cut weight. In my opinion, I don't think he can go down. Uh, let's get back into it. Chito Vera vs O'Malley makes no sense ranking wise. Well, I see what you mean. Chito Vera is deemed to be the legend killer. This was a gimmick that Randy Orton had in the WWE coming up? Like he was like the young guy going for the legends. And Chito Vera has beaten a lot of legends, a lot of champions. I would say a lot, but maybe like 3. And he has been collecting names basically. And it doesn't have to make sense ranking wise as long as it makes sense with drawing power. As long as the fight draws, that's it. Sean O'Malley is on his way to be a superstar in the UFC. Sean O'Malley is on his way to cross over to pop culture. So he's one of those guys that the US media would fall in love with because of how brash and how Gen Z he is. So a fight with a storyline like that does not have to make sense ranking wise. It just has to make sense for us to follow. And I think the most interesting fight, I believe, will be Cheeto. Hmm. Style wise, Cheeto versus O'Malley, I believe, would be better than O'Malley versus Merab. All right, that's my opinion. Moving on. Uh, the All right. Christopher Graham asked Ian Gary versus Wonderboy in Dublin in January or on the MSG card. Yeah. Top of this podcast, we spoke about Wonderboy turning down the fight with Ian Gary, but I believe it would be a nice fight. Both guys are long. Both guys are strikers. Ian tried to polish his fight around what Wonderboy does, so it would be more like a student and a teacher type of situation, and I believe if the odds were out, the odds would favor Ian, and mostly because he's the new blood. But Wonderboy doesn't want that fight, so and Wonderboy isn't shy to say no because in the longest time, I don't think as in my time as a UFC fan, proper UFC fan, I have never seen a high placed fight in a fight card that a fighter turned down to fight because of a weight cut, because of a weight loss. Oh, sorry, missed weight. Sorry, because when Wonderboy was scheduled to fight Michel Pereira last year and last pay per view, it was going to be in the main card. It was very high, and Michel Pereira only missed weight by like 2 pounds, I believe. It wasn't like crazy like Chimaev when or Paulo Costa when they miss weight. So we know that Wonderboy isn't shy to say no, and I think Wonderboy has already made his stance clear with regards to fighting Ian. I would personally prefer to see Ian Gary versus Wonderboy in Dublin because that is going to be psychotic. Uh, I'm not sure. I've not heard anything about Dublin in January, but if that happens, that would be mental. I would really love to see that. All right, so this is the segment for true or false, basically. I'm just gonna go through a bunch of questions that were sent, and we never really got to them since last week. All right, fine. Sorry, Conor McGregor fights in December. True or false? I don't think this will happen because Conor hasn't still entered the USADA pool according to what I know, but I could be wrong. When Conor was fighting, or when Conor was in attendance in AJ's fight, Anthony Joshua in the O2 last week, he mentioned that he's gonna fight Chandler, and then he's gonna fight Gaethje for the BMF, and then he's gonna fight uh trilogy with Diaz. But we all know Conor is full of crap. But Conor fights in December? No. Next, Conor fights Chandler next. I think this can be true. Conor fights Chandler next, but not this year. Maybe early next year. Next, Conor wins his next fight. If Conor fights Chandler, hmm, this is a good one. Do I see Conor beating Chandler? Whew, that's a good one. Um, I would say Conor. Ah, no, I give the win to Chandler, bro. Chandler beats Conor, unless they have a unanimous agreement behind stage that's saying no wrestling, nobody shoots. We're just gonna stand and bang. We know how like how step forward in or how forward attack approach Chandler is. I feel like if he does that against McGregor, he's just gonna eat the left hook, and it's gonna be like an Aljo moment, Conor Aldo moment again. But I guess we gotta see about that. Yeah, Courageous says, I don't believe Conor will fight this year. Well, Courageous is in agreement with me. Next, with the true or false is Conor's next pay per view does less than a million buys. This would never happen. I don't think we would ever see a Conor McGregor less than a million pay per view buys, even if he comes back to fight in his 50s. I don't think that would ever happen. Um, Next, boxes Jake Paul at some point. Um, I think if Conor goes back to boxing, he he is very, very much smaller than Jake Paul. He is closer to Floyd Mayweather in weight than Jake Paul, but I don't think he can drop that weight when he fights Floyd Mayweather. Logan Paul is a big boy too. Maybe a KSI. I think KSI could do because it's a very winnable fight for Conor. I think he could fight KSI at boxing, but not Jake Paul, mostly because of the size difference. I think we saw Nate Diaz against Jake Paul. They kind of looked the same, didn't they? Well, anyways, yeah. Next one. AJ never fights Fury. True or false? Um, AJ Fury. AJ Fury. Well, I see. Tyson Fury is an asshole. Tyson Fury is unpredictable. Tyson Fury is someone that you can never trust, even as a fan. I used to be a fan, then I stopped being a fan. Then everybody from at work, every Tyson Fury fan I know isn't a fan anymore. Most especially because he's gonna fight Francis Ngannou. Many boxing purists don't like that fight. So but you never say never. It's going to be a big fight, no matter how many losses AJ has. Tyson Fury would love to be like, I have Anthony Joshua in my resume. Anthony Joshua is no scrub. Anthony Joshua is a two-time world heavyweight champion. So even if he loses again and again, if Fury beats him, Fury will be like, I beat a two times world heavyweight champion. How many of his past opponents can he say the same about? So I think it can happen. I think it would happen. So false on this one. So false on this one. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. I tried. I rambled. I promise you, if I had somebody else here, this would have been over an hour. So yeah, join our Patreon if you would want to be up here with me. If you would want to share your opinions, your questions, and all of that. Yeah, please do like and subscribe for the African fighters. If you missed this or you prefer audio form of the podcast, we are live on everywhere you get your audio pod from. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jabril and I'm signing out from the African Fighters. Peace.